Is it clear now? Hello, can you hear me? Okay, perfect. So the first thing that I was mentioning was that you should get a good sleep at least for 6 to 7 hours, because it's very important. I have seen students who are very good with the concepts and who spent last night studying on the exam instead of sleeping, and they ended up goofing up most of the concepts, right? So that is not good. That is not something that you should do, right? You should get at least 6 to 7 hours of sleep, and then there's a particular paper attempting strategy that you have to go with. Now what I would recommend to all of you is that you start your paper with standard English conventions. That is very important. Now, standard English conventions, I've repeatedly mentioned this before as well, and I'm saying this again as well, that you have to start it with standard English conventions. Normally what we tell students is to go for the easy questions first, right? And normally when you talk about it, obviously in the reading and writing section, math, obviously as you go on, the difficulty would increase. So obviously you normally do not need to change the pattern as much, right? So again, you can do that if you're a math instructor, or in a particular way you can go about it. But in the standard English conventions part, right, this is something that you can start the paper with. So this is the first, this is something you should attempt first. After that, after this, you can go with expression of ideas, and once you're done with these two, you can come back to craft and structure, and then you can do information and ideas. Now, how will this strategy help you? I'll tell you that as well. Firstly, when you do standard English convention and expression of ideas first, these are questions. You normally have around 70 seconds for every question on the SAT. If you do these questions first, these questions you can solve in 30 to 40 seconds as well, right? So solving them in 30 to 40 seconds, and around 50 or 60% of the paper is made up from these two topics, right? So that will save you 30 to 40 seconds per question for half of the paper. So that is the time that you can invest on craft and structure and information and ideas. Because normally what students complain is that we cannot manage time on the passages in the craft and structure, information and ideas. There's too much to read, we cannot solve it. So that is how you can do it. That is how you can manage time, right? So you have to attempt, you should attempt the standard English convention, expression and ideas questions first, and after that you can attempt the craft and structure, information and ideas. That will help you save a lot of time, right? The third thing is, yeah, that means you can go back to the questions. One thing, Anika, that you can do is, as you uh, because you will be leaving the questions as you when you finish the module, it shows you all the questions that you haven't done. So you can one by one solve all the questions, go back to them. So unless you're not done with the time, as long as you have the time, you can go back to the questions as many times as you want, right? So that is not a problem. So that is the thing. Now that third thing is, it's very important, and that is you should firstly know the reporting time, right? And you have to get there early. You have to get there early. What normally I suggest is that you get to the center 30 minutes prior to the 30 minutes, at least 30 minutes prior to the reporting time. So for example, if the reporting time is 7:30, get there at 7. If the reporting time is 8, get there at 7:30. I do not know what is your reporting time. Normally the reporting time is 7:45 or 7:30, depending upon the country that you're giving the paper from. But then again, you can get there 30 minutes before the reporting time. That will give you a lot of benefits. Normally most of the students, they get to the center on the reporting time. Now what that creates a hassle, right? So that creates a hassle, and that creates a problem, because when you are there, you go through the screening and everything. If you get there early, you will go through all the process smoothly, and you'll get to your seat. So it's always better to get there first. You can sit over there, you can relax, you can review the concepts in your head, whatever you can you can just sit there, make sure that you're there, and calm yourself down before the test, relax, take some deep breaths so that you're ready for the test. So that is always better. If not 30, at least 15 minutes prior to the reporting time, but you have to make sure that you're there early. That is something that you have to be very careful about, right? The fourth thing that you guys have to be very careful about is that you have all the required documents, right? Because you don't want any last minute goof ups. That is something you have to check. I hope you guys are ready with it. I hope you guys already have checked everything, but still, I would recommend that you guys check it again, right? Go through it. You should have the admission ticket. You should have your valid passport. You should have the ID. You should have the calculator. You should have your device. Your device should be charged, right? All of those things. It's better if you, obviously your time will be there on Blue Book, but it's still, it is better if you wear a watch. Your calculator should be approved. This is again something very important. You should not take a calculator that is not approved. That is something that you have to check. So you should have everything that is prescribed, and I'll try to share a document that has all the documents that you have to take on the test day. So that is something you should have for the test day as well. So this is very important, right? So get there early and make sure that you have everything, because if you miss any one of the documents that is necessary on the test day, they will not allow you to enter the test, and your attempt would be wasted. And obviously, registering again and all of that can be done, but a lot of time would be wasted, a lot of energy would be wasted, and I think none of you would be ready for that. None of you would want to do that. Since you guys know that uh, the SAT has no negative marking, you don't have to, you do not, absolutely not have to leave any question. That is something that you have to remember. Even if if situation, hopefully this will not happen, but if because of something, the scenario arises that you are not left with time or something like that, so it's very important that you tick mark every question. If you're not left with time, just mark anything, take a guess. If you have time and if you don't understand a question, that is something else. But if you're not left with time, don't just leave any question. That is very important, right? Now, always remember, when you do the question, elimination process is very important. Elimination process is very important on the SAT, because most of the questions will ask you to go for the best answers. And if you just read one option and feel like this is the best answer and you don't read the other options, there is a possibility that you have a better option mentioned over there, right? So, and this is especially, I'm talking about the questions that are related to graphs, that are related to maybe standard English conventions. There is a possibility that there is a better answer. Even in transitions, you get few options, right? So you may get two options, right? And both of them can be the answer, and you have to select any one of them, right? For example, if you get in addition and you get then, right? I'm just giving you an example. So in addition can be used anywhere when you have a sentence that is following the context of the first sentence, but then is specifically used when there is a time relation between the two sentences. So if there is a time relation, you can use any in addition over there as well, but then would be better. So you have to read all the options. That is very important. The next thing, or the next tip that I have for you is, don't carry the stress of one module to another. This is very, very important, right? This is a problem that occurs normally when you feel like you have not done the a particular module the way you should have done, right? So for example, if that happens, you should make sure that you do not carry that stress over on to the next module. If for example you feel like, because it is a standardized test, so because you have prepared so well, you have done everything right, you have practiced all the tests, you have given all the tests, right? You have taken your scores, you have done so much, you have learned so much, and even after that, if you feel like you have not done the test the way you should have, right? Probably the test was difficult, and if it was hard and if it was difficult, then probably it will be difficult for everyone. So you don't have to worry about it. Obviously, you have to give it your best shot. But even after giving your best shot, you feel like you weren't able to, reach the mark. Don't worry. And even if you have to worry after the test, right? So for example, if you were doing the second module of reading and writing, and if you felt like you did not do it the way you should have, you don't have to carry on that, on the math module. Start, or you can write it like start every module like it is the first, right? So start every module like it is the first module of the paper. That will save you from a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress, and you will be doing every module in a very fresh manner, and that will help you score well as well. So these are very little things, but they have profound impact on your paper, right? For reading and writing especially, I would say that you have to annotate. There is a feature on your blue book that helps you to annotate, that helps you to make bullet points. So for all the reading and writing questions, if you want to especially do it, quickly as you read on, because there are a few students, especially in the reading questions, they have this problem that as they go on reading the questions, they start forgetting what they read at the start. They do not have very good retention. So a good manner, or a good way to achieve, a good manner to retain all that is there in the passage is to keep on annotating and keep on taking notes of everything that you read, or most of it that you take, right? So that is very important. Now the ninth tip that I have for you is that you have to, and these are very, just read them. I'll share the recording with you right after the session. So I would want you to take notes right now as well, and after the session, just go through them once again. That will help you a lot, right? So utilize. There was a student of mine who was telling me that, sir, I completed the first module in 20 minutes. And I asked him, what did you do after that? So he told me that, I moved on to the next module. So you have to utilize all the time. Utilize all the time. Make sure you utilize all the time. If, for example, you have 32 minutes for the reading and writing section, and if you happen to complete it in 25 minutes or 20 minutes, it will give you no benefit. You cannot get that extra time in the module, right? So if you cannot get that extra time added into the next module, why move on to the next module? Utilize the entire time. And what would you do in the time? You have to review, right? Review all the questions. It's very important. Utilize all the time, review all the questions. It's very important, right? So again, I don't know how many of you know about it, but you have to make sure that the SAT has changed a few questions. So for the note taking questions, especially that you have in the end in reading and writing, make sure you read all the notes, because especially in module 2, you may have a question that will ask you to read all the notes. So that is one of the ways that they are checking you. 11th is that you revise the vocabs once, right? So you guys must have worked really hard on learning the vocabulary as well. So I would want, in the last maybe 30 minutes or whatever, just go through all the vocabulary that you have learned. Make sure that you know it. There is always a chance that you get a word from the list that you have memorized, and once you get it, obviously it will help you, solve the question. So this is very important. Just do that. Uh, okay, and moving on. You guys are following up till now, right? Just acknowledge me on the chat once. Okay, so you have to remember that no electronic device is allowed, right? So just make sure you don't carry any electronic device, not a smartwatch, anything. Just know the exam rules. I'll try to share that document as well. Know the exam rules. It's very important, right? So if you do not follow any rule, that is going to be a problem, right? Now, again, for those, especially those of you who have not given the SAT before, it might be a little bit of overwhelming experience to, go over there and give this test, seeing so many students, giving the test and everything, but you just don't have to worry about it. Just take it easy. So this is one of the things, that we have so many things that may overwhelm us, but again, we have to relax and just try and understand that this is one of the tests that you have to give it, your best shot. You can always go for a retake, but you have to try and go for the best in this, right? The next step is that you have to read all the instructions, right? So I know that you have done many practice tests already on the blue book, right? But again, when you start the official SAT test, I recommend students that to although it will be a repetition, but just go through, just in case there is no change, just go for all the instructions. It's very important, right? So again, when you are done with both the modules, right, there will be a 10-minute break when you're done with both the reading and writing modules, right? So just don't keep on sitting over there. Utilize this break as well, right? Just make some movement, go out there, take some deep breaths, refresh yourself, and just keep that blood flow moving. Just utilize the break. Don't just keep on sitting over there. It's very important, right? Again, there's one more important thing. Just if you're leaving any question for review later, do not uh, just flag the questions, right? So for example, if you are there on question 13 and you feel like you want to leave, it's a difficult question and you want to do all the questions for other questions first, and you want to come back to this, so just flag that question, so that when you review all the questions, once you're done that, the flagged question will remind you that you have to go through that question again. So that is again something very important that you have to go about, right? So this is again very important. And it's obviously it is obviously going to be a different experience, but again, you have to remember that this is a standardized test, right? And you just have to give it your best shot. Just memorize all the techniques, a little bit about the paper now. So if I talk about the reading and writing first, the whatever I talked about up till now, that was more about the strategies that you should know for the paper day. Right now, I just want to talk a little bit. I'll take maybe 10 more minutes, right? And I'll just talk a little bit about paper. It's important that you do not study too much. That is very important. There's one more thing. The alarms that are very important, right? Do set up your alarms. That is very important, right? Because it's just that you cannot afford to miss this out, right? So this is very important. So when you talk about reading and writing, so I'll tell you about it. The reading and writing paper, there are 3 to 4 major components, right? So when you're talking about standard English conventions, just give a quick revision. Just give a quick revision to all the grammar concepts. Just give a quick revision. Just read once. What is subject verb agreement? What is pronoun antecedent agreement? What is a modifier placement? Just one sentence. What is it, right? Or just maybe solve one question from every topic, so that in that way you can revise all the concepts that you did. So just revise all the concepts from standard English conventions. For craft and structure, I have already told you that you have to revise all your vocabs, right? So revise all your vocabs. If you can learn anything new, that is also good, right? uh, Revise the approach as well. That is also very important. So revise the approach. So what was the approach for cross text connection? What was the approach for purpose questions? So for example, for main purpose questions, you have to find the call to action. For the structure questions, you have to go and you have to ask for the the context and the order right? So order is very important for structure questions. For the cross-text connection questions, you have to find the point of view of both the passages, and then you have to, do as per the questions. For the transition questions, you have to see the nature of the questions and then find the best word. So that is very important. So for craft and structure, just revise your vocabulary, because 50% of craft and structure is all about vocabulary. 3 to 4 questions in both the module, guys. So 3 to 4 questions in both the module would mean that the vocabulary questions alone can get you around maybe 90 to 140 points, depending on in which module you have these questions and what points they carry. But they will carry a big chunk or a big proportion of the questions that you'll have on the paper. So this is going to be very important. Normally, yes, the module one questions, I have told many students that the module one questions related to vocabulary will normally not give you a very hard time. But again, it has to be done for the module two, if that is the case. So module two questions are very important as well. Make sure what are your weak areas. I don't know what your weak areas are. That is something that you guys know better. So remember, or revise what your weak areas are and work on them. Just give it a final revision and just make it very strategic. You don't have to go into detail. You just have to do it superficially, because you already have done everything, right? So for information and ideas, there is nothing much that you have to revise, because everything related to information and ideas will be over there. So that is not a problem. Yes, you can look at the approach again, right? So you can look at the approach, how you have to get to every question. That is very important. That is something you can go about the information and ideas. And lastly, when you talk about the expression of ideas, so for expression of ideas, you just have to work out the type of transitions. That is important. So for example, there are 4 types of transition questions that are related to addition and exemplification, that is related to time, it is related to cause and effect. So different type of transitions and the words that are normally used in the different type of transitions, that is something that you can revise. For the rhetorical synthesis questions, obviously you have to understand. For rhetorical synthesis questions, you have to read all the bullet points, and then you have to just make sure what is the task. It's very important that for the rhetorical synthesis questions, you do not ignore the task of the question. That is super, super, super important, right? For even for math, you have to revise all the rules. Make sure you go through all the rules, all the formulae, all the concepts. Just go through them again superficially. Just look at it. What are the different formulae, be it geometry or whatever, whatever the topic is, just go through all the topics. I'm not going into the detail. I'm not a math instructor, but just revise all the concepts that comes, right? So whatever you have done, whether it is easy, whether it's difficult, just go through all the concepts of mathematics as well, right? And lastly, as I move towards ending it, just make sure, just take it easy, right? It's going to be all right. It's just a normal test like any other test. And once you have memorized everything that you need to, once you have revised everything that you needed to, uh, then just go confidently for the test, and just make sure that you have, in the time that you have, you give everything that you have. Just try to give it your best shot, and hopefully it will be something good, it will be perfect. And just make sure that you solve every question, you focus on every question. And if, for example, there is a question that is taking a lot of your time, just don't spend too much time on it. Move on to the next question, and then always come back to it. So just make sure that you eliminate those questions that are wasting your time. That is also very important. So these were a few things that I had for you in the last, right? So I hope that you guys go through them once again, and you guys have a great paper. So that is something that I had for you. If everything is clear, you can acknowledge me on the chat, and maybe we can take it or call it off, so that you can go and revise whatever is left, and you can prepare for the test, right? Okay, guys. So thank you so much. I just hope that you guys work for the test. I wish you guys all the very best of luck. Revise everything, go for the test, and after the test, we'll have a discussion on how it was. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.